Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about koans. Watch to the end because I'm going to explain how people generally think of them and how I think of koans and how I respond to them in all my videos. If you're new here, my name is Fakery and I want to get beyond the limitations of our own thoughts. Something like that. I don't know, something like that. Before we get started, I want to thank all my subs and my commenters. You guys are awesome. I love the dopamine hit that I get from all of the notifications. So please comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things because it makes me very happy. Okay, let's get started. I want to clarify up front, I am not a Buddhist. I'm not a Zen scholar. I'm not practicing anywhere. I'm not a part of any lineage. I don't even do a lot of research for these videos. So I just want to put that out there in the very front, just so we understand where I'm coming from. This is just my own perspective, my own personal perspective. It does not represent anything more than just that. Okay, koans. Koans are like little stories. Generally, they're thought of as, sometimes people think of them as historical stories, and they are kind of quasi-historical. They're things that happened to Zen masters in the past, and they're written down and talked about in lots of different documents. They're also riddles, sort of. They're also sort of nonsensical statements, or otherwise they're just brain busters. That's what people kind of think of them as, brain busters. Primarily for me, I use them as a tool to see non-duality. Sort of by analogy, but to see non-duality, to loosen my attachment to certain things, there's another way to use it, and also to experience the don't know mind, or just being confused. Something like that, I'll explain. So first for duality, in order to see, this is helping me see beyond duality, getting beyond the duality into the non-dual. For duality to explain that is sort of, when you define something, there must be something that it isn't in order for you to have that definition. You need to tell you what this is, you need to have that to contrast. There needs to be some sort of contrast. In general, you need the yin for the yang. In this sense, yin is yang, this is that. Heads is tails, because if you didn't have tails, you wouldn't have heads, you wouldn't have a coin. And this is sort of what happens in all these koans. They flip a coin, they show you heads, and you want to look at it and say, oh, there's actually a coin. You want to see the non-dual, and they will often point out all the dualities. But the main duality that we need to get beyond is koan and your life, story and your life. These things are all applying to you. When these are characters that are in the story, and these are historical characters, sure, they're archetypes for your mind, for the way that you think. These are not in my usage, the historical part doesn't matter. The actual characters don't matter. You'll notice if you watch my videos, there's a lot of context that I don't have because I'm not a Buddhist and I'm not a scholar. They don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about your life. Characters are you. All characters are you. Every situation is you. All of it is your mind. And we also want to get beyond other dualities. For example, teacher-student is one that comes out very often. Mind-body is something that comes out. Like, you need, your mind needs the body to exist. They both are very much interrelated, and if you change your body, you're going to change your mind. If you change your mind, that's going to change your body. And the same for body and environment. If you have your body, you're going to have the environment changes the body, and the body changes the environment. So in this sense, the body is the environment, the mind is the body, and so on and so forth. And we want to be able to see that so that we don't have destructive behaviors towards ourselves. So a lot of people, me included, I may only care about my body and not care about my environment, but that negatively affects my body, right? Because the body and the environment are the same. Or I might think that I'm working on my mind but not taking care of my body, but they're the same. They are interrelated, so much so that they should be considered the same. And then there are more things. To get more strange here, we have correct and incorrect, which is the duality that is pointed out often in these koans. You need something to be incorrect for there to be something correct. You need a delineation between those two things. If everything is correct, then nothing is correct because you have nothing to contrast it to. You have nothing incorrect to contrast it to, which gets kind of tricky for explaining non-duality. And then there are other arbitrary delineations that we don't want to attach to, at least personally I don't want to attach to. So things like the difference between sacred and mundane in these koans, they sort of attack the sacred and make it mundane in a very, very entertaining way, but an interesting way. And that's just something we want to get over. In things like life and not life, like what is the difference between normal cell and viruses? Is that a delineation? It's an arbitrary delineation, right? And also projecting meaning onto things, having meaning and having things that are meaningless. That's probably going to be all confusing because I just jumbled a lot in there, but these are the dualities and we want to see beyond them. And the ways that they do this, they ask you simple questions. It may be like, are animals conscious or not? There's a duality, conscious, not conscious. And you can see this and you can try to look at animals and see if they're conscious, if we interact with them as if they're conscious. You can see that you can interact with things that aren't alive and sort of project consciousness to them and have this direct feeling of consciously talking or interacting with something that is actually just not alive. It sort of breaks down that duality very clearly, lets you know that it's just arbitrary. Teacher-student delineation. Is the teacher always more advanced than the student? Once you sort of realize that you can learn from anybody, and this is shown in a lot of the koans, you can get information, actually fundamental, vital information from people who are not as well read or knowledgeable or something like that. They're not as attained. That sort of breaks down this sort of teacher-student duality. The fact of the matter is you can get nutritional information from somebody who's fat, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. The information is still good. The teacher-student duality should be thrown out. And also, do true thoughts affect you differently than fake thoughts? It's a very, very interesting duality, and we want to see the arbitrary nature of what is true, what is not true, what affects you, how strongly, and all that and stuff. So when we watch my videos, I'm going to be giving lots of conclusions about certain koans. I'm going to be telling you these are the dualities and we need to see beyond these dualities, and this is how it applies to your life. But these are just my own personal thoughts. It's not necessarily what the artist is not necessarily what the initial people writing these stories were intending to do. I have no idea what they intended to do. I'm projecting everything that I'm telling you about these koans is my own projection. It's all my own meaning. And if you agree with it, then that's just your own projection too. You can agree with certain things and you cannot agree. Figure out, see where that delineation is. See where you choose to agree and see where you don't choose to agree. And try to figure out why. And you'll find that it's arbitrary. At least that's my assertion. So that's non-duality. That's what we want to see beyond. That's how the koans work. We also want to get into the not knowing mind, or the don't know mind. I might refer to this as not thinking very often. One very easy way to think of this is doing mantras, and people do mantras with koans. You might just say moo, moo, moo. Moo is one of the koans. You might just say no, 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 no. You say it so often until the word has no meaning. You have nothing to attach to. You're not clinging on to any semantic meaning. That is the don't know mind. In essence, you're not attaching to meaning. It doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't thinking. It's just that you're not attached to the thoughts. Not that you're definitely not being confused, right? Being confused, I mean, that's one expression of it, but it's not that. You don't have to be confused. You don't have to misunderstand something. It's not understanding or misunderstanding. It's just not being attached to understanding at all. That's the don't know mind. And I like to induce this because oftentimes, in general, being confused or not knowing something can be directly suffering, or it can lead to other suffering. For example, it's just confusing. Confusion is just unpleasant sometimes, a lot of times actually. So you want to kind of get comfortable being confused. And also, you don't want confusion or misunderstanding or not knowing to block you from doing healthy behaviors. I'm very, very guilty of this. I'm sure most people are. Something like, well, I don't know what the healthiest option is, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want. Or I don't know when the best time to go to sleep is, or I don't know the best time to work out, so I'm just not going to do any exercising. Right? We're stuck with this confusion of not understanding. I don't know how to meditate properly, so I'm just not going to do it. We want to get beyond that. Get more comfortable doing things without knowing how to do it. Be more comfortable having the mind of not knowing. Be more comfortable, and that's sort of the purpose. That's one of the main things that I'm doing going through these koans. It has helped me quite a bit to get beyond things. The barrier of not knowing is terrible. That's some of the things. A lot of times in these traditions, and this is something I am not familiar with at all, they test the insight of a person. So these koans, they might have a crazy koan like our dog's conscious, and this is a translation of one of the koans, or dog's conscious, and I don't have no idea how traditionally they respond to these koans. Like, how do you test? I think the idea is to test if the person who is listening to the koan is answering in a way that's empty. Empty meaning they haven't attached to any of the words, they haven't attached to any of the meanings. They have seen beyond the dualities of what a dog is and what consciousness is and what a correct answer and what a wrong answer is. So they're answering in this sort of empty way, and they're supposed to be answering spontaneously. So they're not blocked by the mind. This is another thing with the don't know mind. It should get you closer to spontaneity, because if you're attached to understanding, or if you're blocked by not understanding, you're going to be like I'm hesitating right now. You're going to be hesitating. You want to get beyond that. You want to go straight into spontaneity. I think that's how they test it. But I have no idea. I have no idea how that works. I don't know what the process of testing. I honestly don't know what they would be testing for. So koan practice in the traditional sense is really just confusing to me. What I'm doing is seeing beyond dualities and experiencing this don't know mind, and sort of loosening my attachment to certain things, like what is alive and what is not alive, and what is meaningful and what is not meaningful. Getting rid of those attachments, because they block my life. They block growth. And growth is another. Anyway, we don't want to get into that. So where should you start? In my videos, most of the videos are self-contained. I explain all the context that I have. Okay, not all of it, but I explain most of the context necessary for the particular koan. And I might give a very long analysis. I might break down all the dualities that I see. I might relate it to other stories. I may relate it to some historical fact about China or Japan or India or wherever the koan is placed. Or I might just ramble for a long time and just be very confused and sort of stare at my screen, because that happens a lot too. A lot of times I don't know what the heck's going on. Both of those things are okay. And if you are interacting with it and there's lots of things that you don't understand, that's fine. You want to understand, you want to notice your misunderstanding or not understanding, and see how that drives you. Like, is your misunderstanding making you want to click away? Well, that'd be a bad thing. That's a big no-no. So if that's happening, hit me in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what I should fix. But that's very interesting, because it helps you understand how you interact with the rest of the world. If you're doing your math homework and you're reading a book and you don't understand what's going on, do you stop doing your math homework? A lot of people do. I used to be that way, not with math, but other subjects. We want to get beyond that sort of thing. You want to be able to persist through. So I guess this is a part of the meditation that will be for you guys to actually go along with the practice with me. The whole point, what I would hope for you to see, is to see beyond the dualities in the analogous way. You know, we'll be flipping coins, and I hope you to see the coin as opposed to seeing heads or tails. I hope you to feel this not knowing mind, this don't know mind, and become more comfortable with that. And that's sort of all of my videos. That would be every single one of the koan videos. And then hopefully, a lot of times I'll try to give some practical advice or some practical implications for what each of the koans means. Essentially, they'll be breaking down some duality, and that will be helpful for you in some part of your life. At least helpful for me. As of now, those are the only reasons why I do all the koans, and that's all that I think that you could get from it, from me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy all my other koan videos. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If there's something confusing, put it down in the comments. I will respond to every single comment. And subscribe for more, hit the notification bell, and please have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye.